Hey Eurovision fans, this is Tom coming to you from Shanghai and I'm back for another Eurovision reaction video. Tonight I'm going to be discussing Croatia, that is Damir Kedžo singing Divlji vjetre. I'm going to listen, react and discuss how I think this would have done in Rotterdam. So let's kiki. As always, use the timestamps down below to find the part that you want. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Eurovision videos. Croatia in the competition. Croatia were like much higher in my personal rankings than I remember. I've actually had them in my top 10 3 times. They're 14th in my personal rankings, second 2009, with that awesome song by Igor Krukov with that awful girl who tried to ruin it, but there is a version without her which I very much recommend. And then Lighthouse in 2016 was my number 4. So Croatia I do feel can give something really fantastic. The results aren't fantastic. Like, they really haven't had a top 10 since 2001. They kind of went on this like unbelievable streak in the late 90s after they joined. I actually remember one of their earlier moments, that girl from 1996 with the red hair who was screaming. That's one of my earliest, Maya Blagdan. That's one of my earliest Eurovision memories. But they got 6 out of 7 top 10s between 95 and 2001. Really, since then, they've kind of just not really made an impact. Although I do think of quite a few of their songs, like I do remember a lot of their songs, so, but they haven't just really had that breakthrough, I feel. I didn't do a reaction to the national final because I was very disappointed that they didn't pre-release the songs. I think it was one of the only national finals where they didn't pre-release songs. I thought that was a little bit shoddy. I think that's a real way to drum up a bit of hype around your show and also to kind of get a feel for what is big in the community, because I think that does help the jury members a little bit or voters at home to know that there is one song that's really resonating with the Eurovision community. So I don't really understand that. In any case, I'm going to be reacting to his final performance. I have seen this before. I actually already filmed a video, but it was so grumpy and I'm filming a new one because it was just too grumpy. I just need to do a new one. So this one, you will know, I'm probably still going to say some scathing things, but they're not going to be it's going to be like scathing light, the light version. This is Damir Kedžo, Wanna Know My Secret Bang. Okay, haven't listened to this in a couple of weeks. I'm going to give it another shot. I wasn't mad on it the first time. Let's see. I think the start is interesting because those visuals are kind of pretty. It looks like there's going to be something happening in the performance. Him as a singer, I think he's got a great voice. He's super intense, like really, really, really intense. I did feel like they were kind of favoring him a little bit as well. He got very good running order. He got the longest preview and little clips before the show. Now, my problem with this song is I just don't feel like there's a melody to grab onto. Yeah. Like, I just think the melody is quite tame. And I know there's been a lot of comments about the fact that the lyrics are very beautiful, but really, like, nobody's going to understand them outside the Balkans. And everyone in the Balkans is going to give 12 points to each other anyway, so that's a little bit redundant. And this bit at the end, that sounds a little bit Disney. I don't like that. It makes it feel a little bit less serious, or I don't know, just a bit more basic, I suppose. Like, just as Balkan ballads go, I do quite like Balkan ballads. Lana Moja is one of my favorite songs ever. But for me, this melody is not strong enough. He does look like he's just come on a ship from Milano's. And I just think it relies a little bit too heavily on the fact that he's an amazing singer. Like, he is a good singer, but I need a melody or I need something extra, an instrumental or something ethnic. You know, I do think the chorus is a little bit better than the first couple times I listened to it, but the fact it's taken me like 4 or 5 listens to kind of start to appreciate it's just too slow. It needs to be more instant than that. I was kind of hoping it was over there. Okay, it wasn't over. So I was actually thinking if it ended there, maybe it would have held my interest. It hasn't held my interest. Like, they're bringing a great intensity at the end and a build, but it's the 5th gear of a not very interesting car. So that's why it just doesn't. There's no amount of passion or flurry that can be injected into a melody that's just, for me, not interesting enough. But look, I don't know how I feel about that. Look, it's just not for me. I think there are going to be some fans of that. If you're a massive fan of Balkan ballads, I think you're just going to like it almost by default, because as a Balkan ballad, it is solid. Solid's probably a bit too generous. I'd say it's average, maybe. I'd say some people would argue above average. I would kind of say it's a below average Balkan ballad. For me, it's too much on the dull side. I just don't find enough melodic hook that I want to listen to it again. It doesn't sound Balkan ballad enough for me, if that does make sense. I'm not getting enough ethnic identity from it. It does sound like a ballad that could be from a lot of other countries, but just sung in Serbo-Croat. So there isn't enough of that Balkan identity in it for me to feel like it's an ethnic treat. There's none of those kind of like, I know they're probably a little bit cliche, but those instruments that they tend to put in, the flute, all that kind of thing, it's not really there. So I'm not even getting that vibe. I'm not sure if they were consciously trying to avoid that. Touching on the lyrics as before, I know that it's got some lyrics that it's like a romance or something compared to nature. I'm sorry, but like songs about romance with nature metaphors have done like 10 bajillion times. That doesn't particularly wow me, I gotta be honest. I'm not generally wowed by love songs anyway. I do like lyrics that have something a little bit new and interesting. I think a love song with a metaphor, loving you forever and ever, that stuff has been done 10 bajillion times. It is a bit of a dull subject for me personally. So all these people saying that the lyrics are incredible, I don't know. I don't enjoy the song enough to want to go and look them up. And I really think that 99.9% of people who would have watched this in the semi-final definitely wouldn't. Again, people in the region would have understood it, maybe said, wow, that's really beautiful, but they're going to be voting 10 points anyway. The Balkans are notorious for all giving each other 10s and 12s. So they would have got Macedonia's points, and Slovenia as well. That's not enough in a 17-person semi. I don't particularly mind that this won. I don't feel like there were that many other songs that there were no other WoW songs. I don't feel like, personally, I feel like anything was massively robbed. I kind of feel like if you don't have a very like solid outright winner, send something maybe a little bit out there wacky. Like they had a folksy song. I know they had a song, I think it was by Andira, which was more kind of how I think that like heavy thumpy Balkan pop, which I don't think we've really ever seen before, kind of like techno pop. I would have liked if they said something a little bit more risky like that. This does feel like a little bit safe and dull. The first semi had a lot more interesting characters in it. The second semi was the one that kind of had a lot more generic pop songs. So this, I think, would have gotten swamped a little bit. Now, I don't think this would have come like last or anything like that, because I do think it has enough of a kind of reputable base that it would have gotten points off jury, and it would have gotten those high points off Slovenia and North Macedonia. But for this to qualify, I think it would have been a bit of a shock for me. It was in the second half, which gives it a little bit more of a fighting chance, but I just think that there were too many songs with a strong identity, and some of the more generic songs, like for example Azerbaijan, had a super strong visual package. I think this would have finished kind of like 13th, 14th. I would have been super shocked if this had made the final. Coming to the odds, this was third last in the odds. I think that's partly due to the fact it was in the first semi. I think this would have probably been a little bit higher in the odds if it was in the second semi. And if it was in the second semi, I think it would have been in contention for those kind of like 8th to 13th places. So I think it might have had an outside chance of winning. If they jazzed up the staging a little bit, the staging was a little bit boring. I really do feel like he was left to carry a lot of it on his own. He was dressed as a waiter. He had 4 or 5 backup singers dressed up as waitresses. You know, the background was kind of like late 90s screensaver. It looked like it might do something at the start, but nothing really happened. Let's be honest, it was a bit of a nothing staging. You know, having said that, it's the national finals do tend to be a little bit on the cheaper side. Don't know what he really could have bought. Maybe he might have bought some of those nature metaphors. We saw a really nice transition for Serbia, where they had these beautiful kind of like water visuals last year. Those songs can lend themselves to some nice nature staging. Would that have been enough to push it through? Yeah. Second semi, possibly. First semi, I don't think so. In terms of the community, again, I can't check because it's on my phone and I'm recording this on my phone. I'm pretty sure this was somewhere mid to late 30s. Yeah, I think it was just the general consensus that this just wasn't wow enough to pique people's interest. I also hope that this isn't a new trend that Croatia is going to get into, of sending shouty men, because, you know, I did say his performance is very passionate, intense. You could also say that it's very shouty. It looks like his face is, veins about to pop, and his blood pressure is going to be like, his blood pressure is 300, and his, so it's also this kind of like very intense shouting nature, which that's 2 in a row now for Croatia. So I hope that this isn't their safety go-to that they're going to start just like keep rehashing. I'm not going to download this. I won't listen to this again. So I tend to like the Croatian song maybe half the time and download it. So a little bit disappointing from that aspect. I'm okay with him coming back again, but I just think he needs a stronger song. All right, so what do you think about the guy whose name I keep forgetting? What do you think? Let's just call him Damir, or Dami. So what do you think about Damir's song? Please leave a comment in the comment section down below. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on another reaction video very soon. Goodbye.